started providing Ukraine with military and humanitarian support. This support continues to strengthen Ukraine's position in the peace talks. Peace must be lasting and must reflect the security interest of Ukraine, as well as the wider Euro-Atlantic community. We support a holistic approach to the national defense, ensuring resilience of society, state, and economy. Trust in the Polish armed forces has reached its highest level in nearly 10 years, with 94% positive response in September 2025. Our defense budget next year will be record-breaking, amounting to 200 billion zlotys and accounting for 4.8% of GDP. The Polish armed forces far exceed 200,000 troops and have become NATO's third largest army. During the recent Russian drones attack on our airspace, we proved our resolve to defend ourselves with all necessary means. The response, together with the consultations under Article 4 of the Washington Treaty, are a demonstration of NATO's determination and readiness, further strengthened by the alliance posture within the Eastern Century framework. I'm grateful for the solidarity and support of our allies. Together we must continue to strengthen NATO's deterrence and defense posture. In drone incursion is another proof of the need to foster and deepen our cooperation with Ukraine on the use of and defense against UAVs. 2 weeks ago, I visited Kiev to discuss this challenge with Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal. We agreed to keep building on Ukraine's experience within the NATO Ukraine Joint Analysis Training and Education Center in Bydgoszcz. As a response to the Zapad exercises, we are conducting the Iron Defender 25 exercises to demonstrate unity, determination, and the deter aggression against NATO. We have deployed a strong task forces to our eastern border to counter the weaponization of illegal migration by Russia and Belarus. At the same time, we are expanding border defense infrastructures through the East Shield program, which complements the Baltic defense line in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. We are also engaging NATO's forward land forces on the eastern flank with troops in Latvia and Romania. Our contingents operate in the Western Balkans and the Middle East to contribute to the security of other regions as well. Our Navy continues the Baltic Century exercises and Gulf operation, focusing on the protection of critical maritime infrastructure. We provide a significant share of training of the Ukrainian armed forces under European Union Military Assistance Mission in support of Ukraine. We contribute logistically to NATO security assistance and training for Ukraine. Beyond that, we are active in other key instruments supporting Ukraine. The Ukraine Defense Contact Group, various capability coalitions, and the Coalition of the Willing, where we are ready to provide logistical and infrastructure support essential for carrying out planned tasks. Since the very first stage of the conflict, Poland has been at the forefront, responding immediately and decisively. We are modernizing and expanding the capabilities of the Polish armed forces across all domains. Our widely recognized programs cover air and missile defense, the acquisition of F-35 aircraft, artillery, armored and mechanized forces, new frigates and submarines, as well as reconnaissance satellites. We are also investing heavily in cybersecurity and expanding the Army Medical Corps. All these undertakings show our strength, determination, and readiness, the only language that Moscow and Minsk understand. In the deteriorating security situation in Europe, we need unity and joint action across the entire transatlantic community, including NATO and the European Union. The NATO summit in The Hague is an important milestone in this effort, especially with the new capability targets. We are confident these targets will strengthen deterrence along the eastern flank, helping to prevent and from of Russian aggression and protect every inch of Allied territory. We need a strong, united commitment from all allies to fully implement the summit decision, including increasing defense spending, supporting the defense industry, and pursuing other initiatives that boost vigilance and deterrence of the eastern flank. A large number of allied forces must be ready and available to operate, ensuring our region is fully secured and any aggression is effectively deterred. Poland supports and wants to further contribute to the EU's approach to defense and security. We strongly believe that strengthening the defense, technological and industrial base of EU member states is essential for our common security. We welcome the European Commission decisions to allocate 43.7 billion euros to Poland under the SAFE instrument. We aim to lead the implementation of these funds and contribute to enhancing EU defense capabilities. EU's initiatives not only reinforce the transatlantic partnership, but also support NATO's deterrence and defense policies in Europe. The proposed Eastern Flank Watch initiative, including the concept of an anti-drone wall, comes at a crucial time. Developing robust drone defense capabilities is urgent, and EU support is highly welcome. The initiative should be adopted to Poland's eastern shield and the Baltic defense line. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing a difficult international situation. We must take every opportunity to strengthen our security. Europe's hard power depends on principles similar to those of Poland's defense policy. Europeans' willingness to protect our continent, our strong defense capabilities, and our commitment to the transatlantic alliance are essential for maintaining peace through strength. With a clear plan and joint effort, Poland, Europe, and NATO can become stronger and safer. We stand together to protect our freedom. Thank you very much.
Our esteemed thanks to the Deputy Prime Minister there, just outlining some more of what we've been hearing today, the importance, and like I say, I've said it already, but I'll say it again, that deep-rooted message of the forum this year, divided we fall. It's about unity, it's about taking active decisions and making a difference, because sometimes, let's face it, decision-making takes a little bit too long for it to be effective. So bear that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an esteemed panel coming up next for you. We're looking at peace through strength, what is Europe's hard power? So please join me in welcoming onto the stage with her panel, Laura Kayali, Defense Correspondent for Politico Europe. Bravo.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for a panel about peace through strengths. So we have today 4 distinguished panelists. We have Ionuț Moșteanu, the Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister of Romania. We have NATO's Deputy Secretary General, Radmila Shekerinska. Airbus Group's Executive Vice President, Wouter van Wersch. And Sandvik, Norway's defense minister. So we're going to talk about, obviously, the drone incursions in several NATO airspace, such as Poland, Romania, Norway, Denmark. And it raises new questions about reaction, deterrence, rules of engagement, gaps in NATO's arsenals. And the context is obviously the fact that there is no peace in sight between Russia and Ukraine. There's a risk of spillover on NATO territory. And so those are the challenges that we will address today. And there will be time for questions at the end of the panel. So we'll start with you, Minister Moșteanu, because there have been several drone incursions in Romania, even before the past few weeks. So my first question for you is, what can you tell us about Romania's reactions and the latest developments?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here today in front of this audience and next to you. Thank you very much for the invitation. As you said, we are just neighboring the war. And as I used to say, unfortunately, we can see the war from the balcony, and from time to time we see a drone falling down. Actually, we just found another one today. I just received the messages from home. We just found another Russian drone that fell down on our territory in the Danube Delta. And this is a common thing for the last 3.5 years. And this is a thing that will happen more and more. It's my assumption, looking at what happens at the last weeks, also in Poland, in Estonia, in Denmark, and it's easier for Russia to create a lot of trouble in our societies just sending $10,000, €10,000 drone or 20,000, whatever. Yeah, with that money, they can cause a lot of trouble if we do not act, if we don't show that we are strong together, united together, and we have all the capabilities. And before going further, I just want to say something that is today especially important for us, Romania, and important for all the Europe, that we are after the Moldovan elections, where this is one of the best things that happened to that part of the world, that the pro-Europeans won the majority for the parliament, and this is a good signal. It was difficult for them, but it's very good, because otherwise Moldova would have been Putin's playground, and that would be is much difficult than one drone on the other drone. And the fact that Moldova did it is very important, and I'm very for Romania is something very important because we are neighboring them, and nobody wants to have Putin next to him. And we are being in that side of Europe because for here in Poland you speak more about Poland and Baltics and these challenges you have. In Finland, you have a long border with Russia. We have the Black Sea. And the Black Sea is a sea of challenges, and we want to keep it a sea of peace. And after the war will stop, and eventually that war will stop, the challenges will still be there. Will neighbor Russia over the economic zone of the Black Sea, and we have to show strength. We have to deter Russia, and we have to be strong there together. And don't forget, when we speak about the Black Sea and the eastern flank, about Turkey, because Turkey is there and is our ally, and for us, it's very important what you're doing together with them, with the Bulgarians. We are patrolling together in a counter-mining mission, and it's the first one we have in the Black Sea, and we have to expand the scope of this mission. So, coming back to the drones, and this is we are seeing these challenges for 3.5 years. We adapted our legislation, and we have a legislation in place that allows us to shoot them down. And it was not easy. It was a big challenge, a big debate in the society. And finally, the majority understood that we need that. We need to be able to use weaponry together with our NATO allies to shoot them down. And this is a very important step. But from here on, we need to increase the situational awareness to see them coming. And here we need support because we speak about Eastern Century. We need to show to the people objective steps, very clear. Look, you get this, you get this, you get this. We can do together this. We can have more rotational air defense system because we see them coming. We have to put them down. We need more capabilities for that on the eastern flanks. So this would be my intervention for this question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Deputy Secretary General, NATO recently announced a new operation called Eastern Sentry. I know it's technically not an operation, but a new thing. So, what does it mean on the ground?
Well, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for the invitation. You have asked all of us what's our hard power, right? And the answer, straightforward, is obviously NATO. And this is what was the job description for our alliance for 75 years. And for more than 75 years, we have managed to provide our citizens and our allies with the security that they need. As we speak, NATO's pilots, NATO's ships, allied soldiers are there protecting our alliance. And what we did some time ago, immediately after the airspace violations, was actually to strengthen our posture and our deterrence and defense by adding substantial additional capabilities to the countries on our eastern flank so that we improve the situational awareness, so that we send the right message, but also so that we can provide the security that citizens expect of us. This is very much the Eastern Sentry. It is a follow-up of the positive example that we have had with Baltic Sentry at the beginning of this year, when we have seen that our critical infrastructure, undersea infrastructure, is under threat because of the Russian shadow fleet. This is what we did. We sent additional capabilities, we improved our situational awareness, we were more visible, more powerful, and we have seen that it resonated. So this is what we are doing now. We are enhancing our presence on the eastern flank. We are supporting all the allies so that they feel protected. But also, we have to, in parallel to this, send a political message that the alliance will not be intimidated and that the allies will not change course when it comes to supporting Ukraine. So I have very much appreciated, a few days after, I think it was Estonia, violation of airspace in Estonia, They have immediately went to announce that they're signing a memorandum of understanding for supporting the new model going to Ukraine, Pearl, the prioritized requirement list to support Ukraine with US available equipment, ammunition, air defenses, all these things that are essential for Ukraine to keep up fighting the good fight. And practically with this, we showed to Russia that actually there is a price that they pay for their irresponsible and reckless behavior. This is how we will continue to do. Practically, Eastern Sentry is a way for us to be more flexible and yet stronger wherever and whenever we are needed.
So both of you mentioned capabilities. Mr. von Wersch, from an industry perspective, what do you think are the most pressing capability gaps in Europe?
So first of all, it's a great pleasure to be here. Poland is a country that is very dear to my heart and to Airbus' heart, so being here is always a great pleasure. You know, I get the opportunity to travel quite a lot in my job, and I meet many, many different governments, and all of them say the same: we need a stronger Europe. And I'm actually very happy to see everything that's happening. And also, if I listen to everything that was told this morning, I think we start to realize this, that we really need to do much more ourselves and to build the capabilities that are needed. If you look at all the recent announcements, all the budgets, the SAFE initiatives, I think that all the stakeholders are really putting the money where their mouth is and putting in place the means to make sure that Europe is in a position to defend itself. Now, of course, I always like to say, if you look at history, the big Europe, let's say, 80% of the investments that have been done over the last decades have been done in equipment that is not European. And of course, that makes us super dependent on other countries. And I think that would be the first big message. And I think SAFE is also pushing for this. We need to make sure that we become more independent also in terms of our industry. We have a lot of very good players, strong players, but we have a very fragmented market. And I think we are in a fantastic moment in time, and we are able, I think, to leverage this, to be more united and to do more together. Of course, we need to grow our capabilities. NATO has launched with all the states an initiative to see where the capability gaps are. Now we need to fulfill them as quickly as possible. There's a lot of things which are very short-term, ammunition, things like this that need to be done. But of course, there's also more longer-term products that are needed. And this morning, the example was used of the drones that attacked Poland. You know, they were destroyed, part of them, through different capabilities brought together, including tankers, to make sure that the fighter jets stay in the air. And building these capabilities takes time. And if you order an aircraft, a military aircraft or a fighter jet from Airbus, it will take 3-4 years. So, I mean, we need to do it yesterday, actually. We're already too late. So I think we have a great opportunity, but we need to take the right actions. And I'm sure that SAFE is a great initiative, but we need the speed. Speed needs to be there. So I think that would be a message.
And Minister Sandvik, there were also drones in the Norwegian airspace. How do you assess Norway's arsenal? Is it equipped for the drone threat? What are the gaps and what are the strengths of the arsenal of your country?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. And also, it was announced that I should say that we will be the partner for the next year. So thank you. I think we have to remember we are not in war. So now the drone observations we are now investigating in Norway, there are no confirmation and there are no conclusion. But there are observations, which is serious. And it's disturbing our air traffic and it's Of course, it's dangerous, and it's an interference which we take seriously. We have capacities to shoot down drones, but we are not under attack, and this is surveillance drones. It's not Shaheds. It's not what we've seen on different parts of the border of the NATO allies. So we have the capacities and looking into it. And we also have had airspace violations from Russia in the north. But we have a long-standing tradition of being calm but with great determination to say clear that this is reckless behavior. It may be bad navigation, and we can see that more often now. So Russia have to take more security margins when they operate in close areas to our border. But then again, if this is going to get serious, it's important that that is not based on a misunderstanding or a bad navigation. But we send clear messages, and we are aware and we are prepared. We are prepared 24/7 in the north, where we have the border with Russia. We are NATO's eyes and ears in the north. We're looking after the Northern Fleet, which is intact and developing. We're looking after the strategic submarines, the multi-role submarines, and we're looking after the test areas for new weapon equipments from the Russians. So we are monitoring that 24/7 every year. But still, about the drone observations, still investigating, no confirmation and no conclusion yet. But we're working on it.
And Mr. Minister Moșteanu, I kind of have the same questions about the Romanian arsenal, because when the Russian drones were shot down in the Polish airspace, there was a lot of talks about how they were shot down with very expensive equipment, whereas the drones are very cheap, so that's not sustainable in the long run. So how do you assess the Romanian arsenal? Do you feel you need to invest more in counter-drone capabilities? Kind of what are the plans to deal with the Russian drone threat?
Yeah, I think all Europe has to invest in more anti-drone capabilities, not only Romania. And this is a fact, and we can see that. I mean, we have evidences every week. And speaking about Poland, yeah, it was only 4 out of 19 taken down. If that would have happened in Romania, probably I would not be here today, because it was a lot of discussion in Romania about that drone, and for sure the discussion about how money efficient is to take down on drone will be the discussion for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years until we'll develop some cheap and effective capabilities. Until then, we have the current capabilities agreed with NATO. We have ground air defense systems. We have them in Romania. We have our ground defense systems here in Poland. We have 4 of them operating and again showing how NATO works. We have them here. We had our planes in Lithuania. We'll send the planes next year again for the air policing mission. Now we have the planes. We had the enhanced air policing mission from Italy, and now we have 5 Eurofighters with their brave pilots from Germany. And this is how NATO works. And when we see how we can take down drones and we speak about the capabilities of every NATO country, we have to speak about the capabilities on the flank and the ability to move quickly these capabilities, because we are not in silos, exactly that is the beauty of our alliance, that we can spend on different things and we can move them around and assessing where is the best for NATO countries to have these capabilities. And again, this shows how NATO works. And I think that also, unfortunately, the war made us all to move better. And we'll have another exercise this autumn, in November. We have one of the biggest exercises, the Asian Fall in Romania, when we'll the battle group that forward battle group that France is leading in Romania will go from 1,500 to 5,000 to a brigade level, and around 5,000 European NATO soldiers will be in Romania, and thank you for that again for our partners that are there, and around 800 equipments will be in Romania in all the ranges across the country doing an exercise together. Thank you. So again, as a conclusion, it's not about we have some capabilities, we are buying more capabilities, we have ordered more capabilities, we'll order even more. We want to build with Ukraine anti-drone capabilities because they are the best right now. This is a fact. They had to improve, to be creative, and they prove so. And but this is a discussion for the next years, and we have to look together at how the eastern flank will work and how we can move these capabilities quickly. Thank you.
Deputy Secretary General, the Baltic Sentry initiative was the occasion to test new technology, especially drones. So will Eastern Sentry also be like a ground to test new things? And what can NATO do to foster innovation?
Well, this element is very important, and we talked about innovation even prior. During the NATO summit this summer, this was very much the focus. How do we support increased defense spending with stronger industrial base, but also not only by spending more, but by spending better and spending smarter. So innovation very high on NATO's agenda. And we have used Baltic Sentry as an opportunity really to come up with more innovative means in dealing with, protecting undersea critical infrastructure. And this will stay and be our focus and goal for the Eastern Sentry. So the airspace violations were met with the appropriate reaction, and we have shown that we are capable of fully protecting and defending our alliance. And that's only because allies had the necessary capabilities, and our SACEUR was able to operate with them and protect the alliance. But what we do now also is combine SHAPE and SACEUR teams with our Command on Transformation that is in the United States. And I'm sure that, again, like during Baltic Sentry, they will come up with more innovative, as you say, more efficient, maybe, means on dealing not only with the high-end threats, but also with threats which can be cheap in terms of price, but that can produce actually huge damage. So this is very much part of our DNA. Be better, innovate more, and use our capabilities for in the best possible manner. But in order to do so, we have to continue with this sustained message that we are willing to invest in our defense. The defense industry needs that signal. They need the contracts, and I think that the Hague Summit was very important in this regard. We showed not only that we are serious about this, but that we are totally united. It was very clear, it was a signal for transatlantic unity, because it showed that Europe is prepared to balance with the defense spending. And this is great news for Europe, it is great news also for America.
So, Minister Sandvik, the instrument SAFE was mentioned, so it's an EU instrument to get loans for weapons. So Norway is not in the EU, but can benefit from it via joint procurement, etc. So do you plan to try and benefit from it? Like, what is your plan with SAFE?
Our plan is to benefit from all of the spending in Europe, and also to contribute ourselves in the spending for more weapons. But I think the main thing we have to keep in mind that we have to standardize, and we have to have interoperable systems, and we have to do partnerships, both bilateral, multilateral, within the frame of NATO. We have to make stronger partnerships in both how we maintain systems, how we build spare part systems, and how we operate together, and how we're dealing. We are now getting into a strategic partnership with UK to buy the same frigates, identical frigates, to maintain them together, to sail them together, to educate together, and to have the same weapon systems, and to innovate and develop them together. And we have to do that in different sectors. We have a strategic partnership with the Germans, with submarines, and we in the Nordics are closely working together. And this is also important for the industry. And it's important for the industry because we can have joint procurement, we can have bigger contracts, and we have to use the systems within the EU, which we are getting to be a part of, most of them. We have to use them to have joint procurement and bigger contracts. But when I talk to the industry, still they say it's a lot of contacts, but less contracts. So we have to go from talking to walking. And that is important because we have to build the industrial capacity. And we also have to keep in mind that we have also to understand that there have to be dual use. Russia is on war footing. They have changed from civilian sector to military sector. We cannot do that in Europe in the same way, but we can use the best of the civilian industry to make dual use in the military industry, to learn from each other and to develop. And one thing is under-surface surveillance, using for Norway what we can do in the offshore sector to do surveillance of undersurface infrastructure like pipelines, cables, and so on. Unmanned systems, which will be cheaper to maintain and to operate. And then, of course, again, dual-use technology. So I think we have to keep many thoughts in mind at the same time.
Laura, if you allowed me to react,
Of course.
I think we have to go from talking to walking to running, because we have to keep the speed. Maybe a comment on SAFE. I think SAFE is a very encouraging joint effort. 150 billion is a lot of money. The 19 states have been asking for applying to SAFE. Countries like Romania, 16 billion, Poland, 41 billion. So I think it's a fantastic way because it will also use, it pushes, of course, for European preference, which is great to develop our industry. It means that the taxpayers' money will be used also to develop locally and in Europe. So I think a very good initiative, and again, I hope it will go very fast. I would like to also say that we've already done this in the past. You know, joint procurement has happened. I would like to highlight the MMF, you know, which is a fleet of now it will be 12 tankers that have been acquired by 8 different nations, and they are sharing and pooling the resources. 2 more, so the 11th and the 12th were confirmed at the NATO summit in The Hague. And I think that's a fantastic example of how European countries can share resources, share investments, and make it work. So the SAFE initiative is a great opportunity for the industry. And we really now hope we can quickly move to the next steps, that every country clearly defines, okay, what are they going to acquire, so that the industry can put itself in motion and produce all this equipment as quickly as possible.
So to stay with you for a second, European countries have been announcing defense budget increases since the war in Ukraine started, basically. So are there any meaningful contracts, or is it like the desert?
No, there are, of course, contracts, but I think much too little. I think we know what we need. We need a lot of different equipment. We need also very strategic equipment in order to defend ourselves. The drones have been mentioned many times. You know, we are active in drones, but still, I think the drone-to-drone warfare needs to be enhanced. So I would say we are not going fast enough. That's really the message. The companies, and I'm not talking about Airbus only, but you know, all of the ones sitting here are fully committed. It's a busy time, because you know there's a lot of demand all over the world, not only in Europe. So I think it's important that we get this sense of urgency and place the orders, because that's what we need. It's difficult for us to produce equipment without having a firm buyer. We also are our company. We need to pay our workforce and to generate results. So I think really it's not going fast enough.
And Mr. Moșteanu, Romania is, I think, the second biggest beneficiaries of SAFE. What will you spend the money on mostly, mainly?
I would not say exactly the capabilities we're going to buy. These are agreed in a multi-annual plan with the NATO allies. But I will spend like 2/3 or more than 2/3 from this will spend on defense capabilities and the other on dual purpose capabilities like infrastructure, because we need also that. Because you take tanks, but if we cannot move them quickly and they are not useful. So we have to see all this together. So speaking about the capabilities is one thing I want to mention here about the SAFE. It looks very good and it's in the right time. My worry is that the European industry cannot absorb this money in 4 years. I see how it looks. Maybe some of them agree with me, maybe no, some of them don't. But saying that we can deliver weaponry and defense systems more than is already ordered and is on the pipeline, production pipeline, in 4 years worth of 120-something billions, I don't think is doable. So we'll have to think, and now I'm talking to the producers, how you see expanding the facilities you have across Europe, because that will help. And that will help to build faster. And then we, as the politicians, needs to help the industry to shorter the time frames in that you can operate a defense business, because this is a problem with all the application and with all the approvals. We know that in Europe is the best place to live, but still that's because we have the toughest rules when it comes to environment and this and that. We are helping you, and in Romania we want to change the legal framework. We are working on that. So is anybody would want to invest in the defense industry can make it quicker. And is another very important thing, and I want to stress on that. Again, because as a politicians, you have to say we spend more money because SAFE is a loan. At the end of the road, you have to pay it back, and you take this money from the hospitals and from the educations and from the railroads and so on and so on. And in order to have the society acceptance for these spendings, you have to give something back. And you have to see a new factory, a new plant, new workspaces created in that country. Either it's Romania, Poland, or Bulgaria, and so on and so on. And we have to work together in this and spread the butter throughout the continent when we speak about this industry, because if we leave the industry only in the few countries, then we'll have another problem, which is bigger. And we just coming back to Moldova, and we see all the Eastern countries, how difficult it is for their democracies to keep the pro-European and pro-Euro-Atlantic directions. We saw that in Romania last year. We have very challenging elections, and now 1/3 of the parliament is anti-European. Yeah, but in 4 years we have already in 3 years and a half we have again elections. Moldova just dodged the bullets from Putin, the democratic bullets, and we see, I don't give another examples, but we see how fragile is the situation, especially in the eastern part of Europe, and we need to think about this, how we can make sure that we have the society acceptance for increasing spendings. Thank you.
Do you want to jump in? Okay. Mr. Van Wersch, do you want to reply to what was said about the industry?
Yeah, I can. So I think the industry can do it, but what is important for us is to get the visibility. I'll take an example which is not linked to defense, but to the commercial aviation world. Airbus, if you go back like 7-8 years ago, we produced 500 aircraft a year. Now we have gone up to this year around 820. We have a plan to go to 1,000. So how can we do this? Because we have the visibility. Yes, we have the order book, so we know when we have to deliver. We are ramping up very substantially our capabilities. We're doing this Of course, in the countries that have the right skills, and I mean, we want to do this more and more in Europe. So Romania, Poland, we really try to grow, extend our footprint. But we can do this because we have the visibility. So I always come to the same. We can, as industry, we can deliver, but we need to know what and when, and then we will put in place what is needed to do it.
Okay.
I agree with both of you. Actually, we need governments ready to commit and defense industry ready, prepared to deliver. And this is why at the Hague Summit, we focused on the two. So it's not just making this commitment to 5% of GDP. It was also about deciding previously which are the capability targets so that we can actually help both allies and defense industry. We are aggregating demand so that the industry knows what lies ahead. And by aggregated demand and asking allies to go on joint procurements, we actually allow for better conditions and for tighter time schedules. Of course, we have to, it's a 360-degree approach. We also need to talk to the banks, and we do, and try to convince them that, you know, some of the previous provisions preventing them from investing in defense industry are really detrimental for our efforts to scale up production. So we need everyone on board, and I think it was one of the presidents, President Roosevelt, who said, our words must be judged by our deeds. So what we said in The Hague is going to be judged by what we do this year and next year. And we are absolutely sure that for this, allies are running. From time to time, the running involves some hurdles as well. But we can only do this together. And we really see defense industry as an important element of our deterrence and defense for today, but also for the long run.
Mr. Sandvik, do you want to weigh in before we move to the questions?
Yeah, because we have not talked a lot about Ukraine, which is where the battle is going on, and where the industry capacity is the biggest in Europe right now. So investing in Ukraine, in defense for Ukraine, is one of the most important things we do. And when we hopefully will get a ceasefire and peace in Ukraine, the industrial capacity from Ukraine will help us out a lot on these sectors. Norway has this Nansen program going long-term until 2030, first and foremost. And we are now investing to the Norwegian model in Ukraine, buying weapons for Ukraine from Ukrainian industry. And we're also developing and making joint ventures together with Ukrainian companies to have licenses from our military industries, helping Ukraine develop. And then in the long term also to bring back to Norway and to the alliance what Ukraine is learning every day on the battlefield. The world champions on anti-drone warfare is Ukraine. So that's the place we are going to go when we are going to develop our anti-drone capacities by buying licenses from Ukraine, by ramping up scale in Europe and in the alliance for building anti-drone systems and drones.
Okay, thank you. So now we move to the questions. If there are any questions in the audience. Yes, one here, and in the back.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Andre Adamson from King's College London. We've talked a lot this morning. I've heard a lot about defence and defensive capabilities and ground-based air defence and protecting against drones and so on. But this panel and other panels haven't really focused on what I would call hard power in terms of a deterrent. And I'd be interested in the panel's view about how we deter through offensive capabilities. It's one thing to defend yourself, and it's one thing to protect your civilizations, or your societies rather, but it's another thing to actually hold your enemy at risk. And I'd be interested in the view of how we should balance our defensive capabilities with our offensive capabilities going forward. Thank you.
Who wants to take it?
It's a difficult question, no more, not too many candidates. what we have agreed as an alliance is a real set of capability targets that really provide us with both. And the alliance will remain a defensive alliance. We are not in favor of escalation of violence. But what we have sent as a message, also including during these airspace violations, is that if necessary, we will protect our alliance with all means available. What we are discussing and what allies are, let's say, digging into is how do we increase even further the strategic dilemmas to Russia by not only responding to something, but actually by responding in a very asymmetrical manner. And this is why I have mentioned, and several people also referred to the need to continue the support to Ukraine. Because every time we have an event like this, if we have yet another ally saying, and we will finance another Pearl package, or we will finance furthermore the drone production in Ukraine, like Norway, although Norway is also one of the big supporters to Pearl, and I would like really to thank them. This is the way we increase the cost of war for Russia. But we have different means at our disposal, and our sector, but also our allies, can count on all the capabilities that we possess. As I say, increasing the cost of war to Russia is one of the elements in both supporting Ukraine, but also supporting our borders and our deterrence and defense.
There are other questions? Yes. Here, please.
Yeah, thank you very much to your guests for sharing your thoughts. My name is Murat Safoyev, Caucasus Watch editor. If we may switch a bit further from the eastern NATO border to the countries from the neighborhood of Russia, like Central Asia and South Caucasus. So after all these provocative actions, what should be the response of countries that are not under the NATO umbrella, like South Caucasus, Central Asia, Moldova? Like, should those countries even more strengthen their strategy and resilience that from one side can irritate even more Russia, or do nothing? Thanks.
Can we take the other questions at the same time, because it's only 4 minutes left?
Thank you. Nick Borton, I was a NATO Corps commander, and now I advise the NATO chain of command. We talked a lot about equipment, tanks and ships, and a lot about logistics and munitions. All of that equipment is useless if you don't have the correct training. So my question for Norway and Romania is, have you thought about how you contract along with equipment for the correct skill sets across the alliance to train your people to use that equipment? Thank you.
It's a very good question. It's one of the most important things for us, for our army, and I think for every European army, because once these new and very modern capabilities are reaching our ground, we need to make sure that we have the people ready to use them, and they have the correct skill set to use them, and to train the others to use them, and so on and so on. They are more and more complicated, the weaponries being produced every year and delivered every year. We're looking at, like any country, like most of the countries in Europe, and how to increase the part of the population that are doing military service. We just approved last week in the Supreme Council for Defense law project that will go to the Parliament, will go to the government this Thursday, and then we'll send it to the Parliament in order to introduce that new conscription, voluntary conscription. Yeah, for 4 months, we'll ask young people between 18 and 35 to join the army, to train and to become part of our military reserve. The best of them, we'll keep them in the army. Some of them, they will want to stay in the army. And we need this human resources. It's very, very good question, and we are focusing on this. We already did steps, and we are looking at this, because it's useless if you have the latest defense systems, but people don't know how to push the button, which button. So thank you for the question.
Yes, for Norway, we have a long-term defense pledge unanimously support in the parliament for it for the next 12 years. And we have universal conscription in Norway, celebrating 10 years anniversary for that now, which gives us the opportunity to have high-skilled Norwegian youth coming into the military services, which also lowers the threshold to make them, to being a professional soldier, going into service as a profession afterwards. So we have this plan to build up, and of course we are exercising a lot more together with allies, ramping up a lot exercises by the Norwegian coast and also in the north of Norway together with allies, because we understand we have not enough people in Norway to do this alone. Our longest service prime minister from my party, Einar Gerhardsen, said when we joined NATO that we in Norway are a peace-loving people. But if we have to choose between peace and freedom, we choose freedom. And we have to do a part of an alliance, which we are. So our biggest deterrence is Putin shall know, if we have to choose between freedom and peace, we choose freedom. And we are prepared together with allies. And we are doing this together with allies, also with our multi-domain, fifth-generation systems together in NATO. And I'm happy also to say that later in October, we will open the KOK for air command in Bodø in Norway, also to build upon this five-generation systems and multi-domain systems to both big situational awareness in the north, but also to protect Norway and the alliance, every inch of it.
Well, thank you very much for this panel and for finishing right on time. So thank you and have a nice rest of the day.